So today's webinar, I feel, is really very timely. It's a discussion that I've been having with my clients for really a couple of years now. So I'm very, very excited to kick things off and be able to bring this solution to all of you today. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Chrissy Magnotta. I am the Director of Client Engagement here at Katz Pierz. Today on the call, we have Dan Comisar with BrightDime. And the discussion today is really going to be about boosting employees' financial wellness. Working with Katz Pierz, as you all may know, we handle employee benefits. And, in the past, our discussions were strictly around healthcare, strictly around health benefits. Well, as the years have kind of been changing and evolving our role with our clients and with HR, we've been having more timely discussions around other benefits that we could potentially bring to populations. One thing that we have always kind of talked about is those stressors, right? When an employee is stressed out, it's definitely going to affect their well-being. It's going to affect ultimately their performance and their productivity. And really what I was looking for was a solution to be able to bring to our clients, employees, and our members around just that basic financial conversation. How do we pay down our student loans? How do we, kind of stock some money away in a savings account? How do we get off of that frustrating wheel of, kind of living paycheck to paycheck? And through our UBA partnership, for those of you that know us, we are a United Benefit Advisor associated firm. Through that UBA partnership, we were introduced to BrightDime. So for that reason, again, we wanted to bring the conversation to you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and kick things over to Dan. Dan is going to take us through today's conversation. And, again, Dan comes to us from BrightDime. He's the strategy and growth director over there. And Dan, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, there we go. So thank you everybody for joining us. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat box. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera, but I will be here in the background.
Great. Thank you very much, Chrissy, and really appreciate the chance to spend a few minutes with all of you here today. I am seeing my own screen, so I'm going to try to. Can you guys, Chrissy, can you still see me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. First of all, by way of quick background, again, my name is Dan Comisar. I lead strategy and growth at BrightDime. I've been with the company about 4.5 years, but my background actually is very similar to many of yours in HR. So I spent about 25 years in human resources and financial services in New York for a number of years, and I've been here in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where we're based at BrightDime for a number of years. I was the head of human resources for Wells Fargo Securities for 14 years, and then at Bank of America, I led HR for the Tech and Ops group globally. So sort of bigger company HR experiences, and I joined up with BrightDime and our founder, David Stedman, really because I, along with all of my colleagues, have a lot of passion around helping employees with an important stressor in their life, which is around financial stress. And we're about 7 years old as a company. We're one of the leading players in a space that's becoming much more relevant to HR leaders and CEOs. And we're especially excited to partner with Katz Pierz as a UBA partner. I've been talking with Chrissy for a couple of months now, and have met Lenny and Grace and a number of others within the team. And we are very excited about partnering with Katz Pierz because they are really, and you all know this as clients and prospects, they're leading with ideas and are really bringing much more strategic thought leadership forward to their clients. So thank you for the opportunity to join you today. Just see here. Why am I not able to?
Are you having trouble seeing your slides?
It's not. advancing on my screen at least.
It's not advancing on mine either.
Let's see.
Maybe if you click into it.
Sorry.
There you
There
go.
we go. Okay. Nothing like a tech hiccup in a technology firm's presentation. So thank you very much.
We won't judge you on it. Don't worry.
Very quickly, just in terms of an agenda here today. Again, we want to talk a little bit about financial wellness. It's a hot topic in the industry, but it can mean a lot of different things. So we want to make sure that everyone is grounded on how we think about financial wellness at BrightDime. Want to paint a little bit of a picture in terms of why introducing an employee financial program is more important than ever. What we've seen with our clients is this current sort of pandemic environment has really accentuated some of the pain points that employees are feeling across the country. So we want to talk a little bit and show you some data around the impact of that financial stress on employees, and also the impact on employers and how it's directly affecting productivity and bottom line results. And then bring to you a little bit more perspective on BrightDime, what we do, and some of the distinctive programs that we have in place in partnership with Katz Pierz to help you sort of think through this program for your employees. I want to talk about our model, but also I want to give you just a very short demo in the middle of the presentation to give you a sense of what that employee experience would look like, how they actually see some of the modules and tools within our platform and our coaching, and some of the things that I'll talk about in a little while. And then, as Chrissy said before, this is not a very large group. I really do want to make this more for you than for than anything. So if you could start to think through questions, and I want to really try to keep this interactive. I'm going to leave hopefully plenty of time to do that at the end. So that's sort of the game plan here today. Very quickly, there are a lot of sobering stats out there, unfortunately, and as I said, it's become even more the case in this current pandemic environment. Something like 78% of American workers are living paycheck to paycheck. Over half of them can't afford a $500 emergency fund. Student loans are a big deal. So 44 million Americans have student loans totaling $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. And fully a third of Americans have saved nothing for retirement, and other related issues. HSAs aren't being properly utilized. There is a lot of stress out there financially across the country. And what's happening is that employers, especially over the last several years, are understanding that this actually affects their business too. If there's a lot of independent research that shows the relation between financial stress and physical issues. For example, those with financial stress are twice as likely to have heart attacks, 3.5 times as likely to have stomach ulcers. There's a deep connection between financial stress and emotional stress, leading to anxiety. And there are many, many other statistics that show that whether we know it or not, employees are focused on this during their time at work. 24% of employees report independently that they're dealing with personal financial situations during the work day and view it as a work distraction. So really the picture is the reality that companies are, especially over the last couple of years, having to take notice of these topics in running their business. So all of that has led to this movement around financial wellness. And companies are building in financial wellness programs to their benefits and total well-being strategies. And as I said before, it can mean a lot of different things. But at BrightDime, we have a pretty simple definition of what financial wellness is, which is to have clarity around your money issues, to be able to set attainable goals for the future, and to have a plan to achieve them. So, as I said, at BrightDime, we're focused on building a very innovative program, which I'll talk about in a little while, that can do a number of things. It can alleviate employee financial stress. We have what we sometimes describe as a concierge coaching model to support employees individually. And we have what we think is a digital solution that really demystifies and simplifies the financial decision making for employees every single day. Do I buy a car or should I lease it? How many credit cards should I have? Things like that, just everyday decisions that can very often be overwhelming to employees. We feel like we've got a very simple tool to help employees think through those trade-off decisions and have the coaching support, which I'll talk about in a moment, to help them along their journey. In addition, though, for those on the phone and those like in roles that I've had to have before, you also need to understand sort of the business case for financial wellness. And we, along with Katz Pierz, can partner with you to help demonstrate that having a financial wellness program like ours in place can actually increase productivity. We have many clients that are building this into their recruiting strategies and attracting and retaining top talent. We're tying it into communications around retirement plans and HSA participation, so that employees are taking better advantage of of their other benefits programs that you're offering, and that you're able to, as I said before, leverage financial wellness to hopefully over time lower your healthcare costs as well. So again, we feel that implementing a program like BrightDime not only is an important statement from a cultural perspective that you care, you get it, you're sending the right messages to your employees around sort of understanding their total person health, but also we feel like there's a direct business impact, which we can show based on a lot of independent data. So very quickly,
interesting, Dan, I know for me, just some discussions that I have had, just with varying clients and other, just leadership in general, whether it be a business owner, a CEO, a CFO, it's interesting to hear some of the feedback that you might get when you're having a conversation like this. And some people might say, it's none of my business. It's the employees, their finances are up to them, and I really shouldn't be involved in that. But when you make the point about, whether it be lowering healthcare costs, I'm looking at our list of attendees today. I don't think anybody on the call is self-funded, but when you're thinking about it in that respect, if you're looking to control costs around your healthcare, when you talk about how it ties into that stressor. I thought your statistics around how it affects people's health physically were really interesting. But I think right now a very timely topic is attracting and retaining talent. Tons of people are having a really hard time hiring people and then keeping those people. And I think the perception of an employee when they're financially stressed, whether it be because they can't pay a bill or they can't buy that new car or just go on vacation, whatever the reason might be, ultimately, and we see this with healthcare, my job sucks, right? They don't pay me enough. But if only they just learned a few ways to better their financial situation, that perception may change. And I think that's a really important, kind of topic that employers are maybe not focusing on today.
I completely agree, Chrissy. In fact, every company is different. The reason that they come to BrightDime might be different. What we have found, though, especially over the last couple of months, is to build a financial wellness program and tie it into your recruiting strategy has really resonated. In fact, we've written a blog about it recently. I'll give a couple of examples. We've got a law firm client where the whole focus around BrightDime is for them to be able to go onto the law school campuses and say to students, hey, we get it, we understand that you've got a lot of student loan debt, and we've got a program as a firm that we're offering at no charge to you, where you have unlimited access to financial coaches. You have a data-oriented platform, which I'll talk to you about in a little while, and it's really resonated for them from a recruiting perspective. We have a couple of manufacturing clients where, in all honesty, the market is such that people are moving from one company to the next for like 5 cents an hour, literally. It's an extremely challenging market, not only to attract but retain talent. And because this is a relatively new benefit, and they're really trying to play up the communication to say, hey, we're offering this to you not only to help give you tools on your job, but to help you and your family sort of take control of your lives. So we feel like from an attracting and retaining top talent perspective, which is the bottom right box here, if that's of interest to you, that with Christy and her team, we feel like we can offer some ideas around best practices that we've seen with other like companies across the country. So I completely agree with your comment, Christy. Thank you for interjecting. So let me take maybe a minute or two and give you a little more detail about BrightDime and what we do. And then after that, as I said, I want to show you a very, very brief demo. And again, to the extent that this is of interest to your firm, your company, we could have a separate meeting with Chrissy and her team to dive more deeply. But what you'll find is that, again, financial wellness can mean a lot of different things. We have a program that combines 3 or 4 components that together create a very distinctive solution in the marketplace. So BrightDime is a very easy to use digital solution. It's a technology solution where we have what we call in the second block here, money organizational tools for your employees. So one thing that we do or we believe in is that employees are getting financial data from all over the place. They may have multiple credit card statements every single month. They may have a 401k in one system and a student loan in another system and their mortgage from a different bank. And one of the most powerful things that we do at BrightDime is that we simplify all that so that employees can what's called aggregate their financial picture into our platform. So they have a single view of all of their financial accounts. They can look at how they're performing on a daily basis against their family's budget that they've set out for themselves. They can see how much debt they have across accounts. They can look at outside investment accounts alongside their 401k. So I'll show you that in a moment, but we've got very easy to use money organizational tools that are creating a real impact with real data. That's the other thing that we think is particularly important. We're not relying on employees to make assumptions or statements about how much debt they have or how much they spend in food and restaurants every week. We're actually showing them their actual data. So that's one component about BrightDime that's quite distinctive. That's complemented by the first point here, which is around coaching. So we have in our platform, which I'll show you, a way for employees to access BrightDime financial coaches through the platform itself. And we have live coaches. They're all 15+ year professionals, credentialed, incredibly caring and capable coaches. And the way the employee communicates with the coach is actually in the application itself through chat. So we don't send people around the country. We don't staff up big call centers. We have very personalized chat sessions between the coach and the employee and the employee has unlimited access to our coaches. So it's not one of these programs that you get, 15 minutes for free, and then you have to, sign up for and pay a lot of money for something else. Employees have unlimited access to our coaches. And importantly, our coaches aren't just responding to questions, they actually have a window into that employee's platform. So for instance, somebody might send in a question to the coach, hey coach, I heard mortgage rates are low. I'm thinking about refinancing my mortgage. Does that make sense? And our coach might respond to say, hey, we ought to chat about that, but I also see that you've got 4 credit cards with super high balances, and I know your company is offering a 401k plan, and I see that you haven't started participating in that. And also you haven't created a $500 emergency fund for your family. So in addition to your question about mortgage refinancing, I'd also like to chat with you about some of those other topics as well. So the coaching becomes extremely personalized. We can meet people where they are, regardless of their starting point, and it really complements the platform itself. The third thing that we do is that we mine the data within our BrightDime platform and try to understand the topics that are most on the minds of our users. So we write weekly articles on those topics, and we push those out through very sort of high impact short emails. We call them Bright Ideas, every single week to educate your employees. We also have periodic webinars on topics that are really most on the minds of our users. We've done a few webinars on, for instance, COVID-related money issues over the last year or so, as you'd probably expect. So we have targeted content that we push out to employees as well through our process. And then the last thing that I want to mention before I show you a quick demo, we think is very, very important from a business model perspective, and that is we're not owned by a bank and we're not selling anything. So our whole focus is, and we can get into pricing later if you want, but we work with employers and we charge them, let's say, a couple dollars a month per employee, and that's the way we make money. We don't advertise anything in our platform. We don't sell product. We're not pushing credit cards or mortgage products. We're not owned by a bank. There's no, our entire focus is on helping employees manage their financial stress, providing them tools and coaching to move forward in their financial journey. So that unbiased business model, we think, is extremely important for employees to trust us, and for you as HR leaders and employers to also trust us that we're not trying to push product on your employees. We don't ever report back individual employee data back to employers. We do some aggregate roll-up statistics to make sure that you understand sort of in total whether people are using the platform, some other aggregate statistics. But one of the important things from a communication perspective is that when employees set up a BrightDime account, they need to understand that their manager, their HR teams are not actually seeing, how much debt they have or how much they've spent, at restaurants over the weekend or anything else like that. It's so the privacy thing is really important that we build into our communication as well. So that's sort of the quick background. Chrissy, I'm going to keep going unless you disagree. I want to show a quick demo, and then we'll sort of kick it over for questions a little later. But what I thought would be useful is not to go through all aspects of BrightDime, but just to give you a little bit of a flavor for what the user would see once they create a BrightDime account, what your employees would see. So again, imagine this is an employee named Jane with your company. I'm going to skip for the moment all of the onboarding process where she takes the 2 minutes to set up her account. But this is sort of a dashboard where she can start to see some of her financial data in one place. She can see, and I'll show you this in a little while, she could see what her net worth looks like. She can see her budgeting and spending for the month. We post articles that are tailored to Jane. And this green button, by the way, is how the employee can pull up one of our coaches, either on demand, or increasingly what we're finding is that employees are actually setting up appointments with our coaches at a time that's convenient for them. So they could set up a 15-minute or a 30-minute appointment with our coaches. That's typically what's done, unless there's sort of a quick hit question. Again, unlimited access to coaching through chat. I'll show you one or two money tools just to give you a feel for the way it works. Again, we allow employees to securely link their accounts through our partner Plaid, which enables them to, for example, set a budget for themselves. And I'm just going to sort of show you the way that works. So if I go to the budget tab, for instance, imagine you have 2 credit cards and a debit card that you've loaded into BrightDime securely. What we do is we automatically show you all of your spending for the month by item, and we also automatically categorize those spending items so you can see literally on a daily basis what your spending is for the month. So you can see, we're early in August, so I don't have a lot of dummy data in here quite yet, but you could see you've spent, $116 in the leisure category and $1,700 in food and restaurants. And what we do at BrightDime is we automatically allow the employee to compare their spending either by category or by subcategory compared to the budget that they've set out for themselves. So you can see, for example, this person has $83 left to spend in their leisure budget, and they've got $500 left to spend in their kids and pets budget, but they're already $200 over their food and restaurants budget for the month. So again, very easy, no work required. The budget is in place. They don't have to keep spreadsheets. They don't have to categorize things. All of that happens for them. They can set goals. So they can
And can I pause you for 1 second?
Sure.
Just a quick question around when they're creating that budget, is that something that they're doing on their own? Are they setting their own limits, or are they working with a coach to help them kind of decide based on their income and their spend?
It could be either. A lot of times people start by setting it on their own. So the way it works is we actually play back to them their historical spending as a starting point budget, which actually is quite powerful. Lots of times, if somebody were to ask you, how much you spend in shopping on an average month, you really might not know, but we help them as a starting point by playing that back to say, okay, your starting point budget for the month is $500. And they might say, well, it's the month of December. I know I'm going to be spending more in shopping this month. I think I want to make that budget $800 for this month. So they click that, and really that's all there is to it. They can adjust their budget with a click or two. To your point though, Chrissy, we do find that if people are focused on spending, that might be a topic they want to bring to the coach and just, set up a 15-minute chat conversation with the coach to say, hey, coach, I think I have pretty good control over my spending, but I'd like to get, just sort of do a sanity check with you to say, are there some opportunities to increase my savings, or just get your general thoughts in terms of, how I can make progress on my overall spending and what my budgets might look like and how I can think that through. So it's very often, Chrissy, to your sort of generalize your question, what we're finding is that many employees use this as sort of a self-service type of thing. They manage it on their own up to the point where they have some questions and need sort of an outside perspective, and then they'll bring the coach in. But it's really more how they like to learn and how they like to operate. We have some people that literally all they want to do is chat with the coach. They don't want to, that's literally all they want to do. We have some other people that really just want to look at their goal setting and their budgeting and things like that, and don't feel like they need a lot of coaching intervention. And that, you know, some people just like to see the articles on a weekly basis, and they get a lot of education out of that as well. So it's sort of a multi-medium type of approach where, you know, people learn in different ways. There are 5 generations in the workforce, and people can get out of it you know, what they need in the format that sort of works best for them from a learning perspective, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
So I'll show you 1 or 2 other things. And again, we could dive more deeply into this, but you know, we get a lot of use in the goals section. So employees can set personalized goals, like this person's, you know, saving for a vacation, if you're planning for a wedding, what have you. So you can set an unlimited number of savings goals in BrightDime, and you could see how you're progressing. This person got a big thumbs up because they accomplished that goal. We start employees out though with 3 financial goals that at BrightDime we consider to be very foundational. Those would be to create an emergency fund or rainy day fund, to pay down credit card debt. And you could see, by the way, in green or red whether they have achieved their goal for the month. And we actually set up a 3rd goal that we call spend less than you earn. And again, this is probably very true in many of your organizations. A very large percentage of employees are living paycheck to paycheck. They have they don't have a tool to see in one place their income and their spending, so they know, like here in the month of February, they actually did great. They actually earned $4,000 more than they spent, but in the month of June, they spent $4,200 more than they earned. So it's quite powerful to be able to see that together. We give them, when we see the data, we give them some tips here around, you know, what that looks like. We sort of point them, in this case, to setting a budget, and they can click back into that tab that I showed you before. So we try to keep this interactive and give them some tools within this goal to progress on that budget. And I'll show you one other quick thing, which gets quite a bit of utilization as well, and that is around net worth. So again, my experience in HR is that if you ask employees how they're doing financially, in most cases they'll immediately go to my base salary. You know, did I get a 3% increase or a 2% increase this year? And that's sort of, that's in some cases their litmus test around how well they're doing. And that's a fine thing to be focusing on. But what we prefer to do is to orient employees more toward the concept of net worth. So meaning their total assets less their total liabilities. We want them to understand, you know, how much debt they have, how much they have in assets. So very, very often, when they see their net worth in the BrightDime platform, it's the very first time that they're actually seeing that. And they can see sort of how it's changed on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. They can see this graphically. And then at the bottom here, they can, their net worth is automatically organized for them. So all of their assets are above this line, their liabilities below the line. So if they want to know what's going on in their mortgage, with one click, they can see, you know, they've got a $148,000 balance in their mortgage. If they want to know how their mutual funds are performing in their 401k, they can see that. I'm not going to do that. And our coaches see the same thing. So this coach, for instance, might be able to notice this employee is participating in the 401k plan, which is great, but they'll also notice they've got a 401k loan. So maybe that's something that they want to chat with the employee about. So that's the quick demo. I guess what I would say just in closing here before we get to questions is that one of the very unique things about BrightDime, as I sort of alluded to before, is that we really can meet people where they are, and we've got, and this is really, it's what it's all about for us as a BrightDime team. We have all of these success stories where people have different starting points, and they can use BrightDime in a way to make progress on their overall financial health. So, whether it be Amber, who started out with a lot of student loan debt, she really didn't have a plan in place, but she had, a reasonable amount of cash, and she just wanted to figure out a savings plan. So, she was able to use the tool to pay down credit, card debt, create an emergency fund, and start to save for retirement. These are real stories with the names changed, by the way. So, Quan, his wife lost his job. He wanted to buy a house. They had very poor credit scores, and they were spending more than they earned. So they worked very intensively with the coach and started to come up with a game plan and with a concerted effort to improve credit scores in order to buy a home. Evelyn was a little bit further in her career. She's 59. She's looking to retire over the next couple of years. And all she wanted to do was a checkup. She was pretty knowledgeable about her financial situation, but she just wanted to have a chat session with the coach to see, if she's on track, if there's some things that she should be thinking about that she hadn't. And it was more around retirement strategy. So, we have success stories across industries, across employee demographic groups, et cetera. So again, the idea here was to give you a little bit of a deep dive on the BrightDime solution, the impact that we think we're making on people's lives, and also in partnership with HR leaders on sort of organizational impact. And again, I'm gonna pause here just to open it up for questions. So Chrissy, maybe I'll turn it back to you. I don't know if there's some that are in queue, or if you've been collecting them.
Yeah, I guess let's talk a little bit about engagement. So your experience encouraging employees to engage. I know that would, a lot of times when I'm having these conversations, that's a number one concern. We'd love to, I don't think anybody on this call would argue that this is not valuable. I know for me, I would love to have a tool like this. I do everything by hand. So just to have a nice little pretty snapshot and just, ways to kind of consult with somebody for, questions that may pop up, I think is hugely valuable. But I think a lot of times there's concern around, how do I get my employees to use this? Oh yeah, my employees, they're not going to log on, they're not going to engage. So can you speak a little bit to your experience and success really in engaging employees to utilize the platform?
It's probably the very most important question to ask, because the tool is very easy to use. We know we can make an impact once people get started. And as you said, it's, no one would argue with, having financial education, financial coaching, and that type of thing. It is still a pretty new concept for both employers and employees. So employees aren't really used to receiving this type of benefit from their employer. So it's not like medical, dental, vision, where they sort of know, every year I'm going to get open enrollment and there might be some changes to pricing or structure or carrier, but I sort of know what's coming. To your question, Chrissy, part of when we start to work with an employer, typically in partnership with a firm like Katz Pierz, we'd come up with an overall sort of engagement and communication strategy. What we have found is that we've got some tools in place that have worked really well, but to a large degree, it needs to be tailored to the company. How do your employees typically learn about new programs like this? Is there a need to do a webinar kickoff? We've got different types of collateral. We've got videos, we've got written materials, and that sort of thing. So what we have found is that we do, the amount of administration for the employer is very, very minimal. We really, we don't want to sort of push the work to you all in terms of rolling out a program like this and maintaining it. We take care of that. However, the most important component is really on the front end for maybe 2 or 3 meetings in advance of the rollout, where we talk about, you know, how this ties into your overall well-being strategy. You know, when is the right time to roll it out? Does it make, we have found that very often it's during the course of the year as opposed to at open enrollment timeframe, but we could do either. What we have also found is that by understanding sort of your overall human capital regimen, you know, what, like, are you doing a lot of recruiting? You know, when is your total rewards communication? Can we tie this into those communications? Do you have an EAP? That, you know, can we equip your EAP partners to know that this is a program that they can mention to your employees if appropriate? You know, and then again, we have some employers who have focus groups or sort of town hall meetings where their senior leaders or HR leaders will talk about what this is. So it's really sort of diving in, Chrissy, to understand how your employees learn best and the best way to frame this. We have plenty of tools, but I think a lot of it is really just to dive in with, Chrissy, you and your team to have a more consultative type of approach. The other thing is that beyond rollout, we bring back aggregate data once a quarter, and we also have periodic check-in meetings. A colleague of mine, Jill, sort of runs our client experience team. She really meets with employers to understand, you know, some of the things that are upcoming. We can bring best practices that we're seeing with other clients. So we're seeing somewhere around 21 or 22% engagement overall with our clients, which actually for a program like ours, we've been told is about 3 or 4 times what most companies see for a financial wellness program. So it's never going to be 100%. You know, we don't expect that. But what we're trying to do is to create a level of awareness, work with you all to really get people to give this a try. What we have found is once people sort of get into it, they have a coaching session, they read a couple of articles, it's a pretty sticky platform. They keep coming back, they like it, they're getting something different out of it. So sorry to ramble on to answer that question, Chrissy, but it's a really, really important one, because this is not just about plug and play rollout of technology. We at BrightDime, we take a lot of ownership in partnering with you to try to really create an organizational impact to make a difference for your company, but also for individual employees.
I love the idea of tying it back into EAP, you know, just creating that holistic approach for employees. And I think that you know, just kind of speaks to the overall communication strategy of all programs and assisting employees. So I guess, are you able to maybe put a percentage or quantify what an engagement typically looks like in an organization? And are there any organizations or industries that you find you guys really fit well into?
Yeah, I glossed over this, but we're on average, we're something like 21%, 21 or 22% engagement across all of our clients across the country. So, you know, again, we feel that we've been told that that's a very, very strong number. We're never satisfied with that. We're always trying to come up with new engagement strategies, but that's about where we are on average. We have some clients that are above that. We have you know, a couple clients that are below that we're trying to sort of pick up. In terms of industries, you know, it's really very relevant across industries. You know, we're working with everything from, you know, technology and professional services companies to municipalities to school districts to a number of healthcare companies to manufacturing companies. So it's in some ways, I sort of wish it was easier just to sort of say, hey, we work with these 2 industries and that's it. Unfortunately, Financial stress is sort of industry agnostic. I mean, the issues tend to be a little bit different depending on the industry and type of company and demographics. So that gets to what I was talking about before in terms of how we work with employers. With some of our manufacturing clients, for example, since it's a digital solution, a big part of it is really to try to work with the HR teams to convince employees that this is very easy to use, very easy to sign up with, and importantly that you could trust us because we're not selling anything. We have some technology clients that they don't, all they really want is a QR code literally in their elevator bank where they can sign up for BrightDime. So again, it's really relevant across industries. I think that in general, while this is relevant for senior executives in any group, and we do have a number that use BrightDime, what we're finding is that it's typically more like the middle of the organization all the way down to frontline employees that are probably getting the most out of our platform. Bottom 80% of your typical population in terms of the organizational structure. Very often our users have just never had access to a financial coach before. They've never had a simple way to sort of pull this together. So for us, that's it's extremely rewarding because all of a sudden they have some simple tools and coaching to sort of progress their financial situation. And again, we want to make sure that the company, your organization, gets full credit for sponsoring a program like this. We really try to include in the communication that your company is paying for this on your behalf. They care, they get it, they realize the importance of helping you with your financial stress from sort of a total person health perspective.
Now, I know we're not going to get into pricing today. I think, just for the folks out here that are listening today, if you would like a little bit more detail or understand how this could fit into your organization, please feel free to reach out to me after today's webinar, and I'm happy to kind of help drive that conversation. But just on a generalized basis, it is a per employee per month fee. Do you typically find that employers are offering that to the entirety of their population, just people that are benefit eligible? And then also, do you find that employers see value in providing that to spouses as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just share at a high level. We can get into more of this if in individual meetings, but the pricing is typically between $2 and $3 per eligible employee per month, based on the size of the company. Typically somewhere around $3 per eligible employee per month. I will share with you that our pricing with Katz Pierz is about, those numbers that I just shared with you are about 40% less than if we worked with any of your companies directly. So because Katz Pierz is an important partner of ours and tied into UBA, we're working with UBA on a nationwide basis. The pricing, if you're a 100 employee company, you're basically getting the pricing as if you're a 3,000 employee company across the country. So I do want to make that point because there is a lot of value to partnering with Katz Pierz on many levels, but there is some pricing advantage for that. Typically our clients roll this out to their entire population. It's one of those benefits that we think is very relevant to the entire population, and very often, the people who need it most in terms of coaching and support and tools may not necessarily be the ones that you think need it most. So we strongly encourage that. We typically would roll this out to employees only benefits, and a lot of our clients do also include non-benefits eligible employees or part-time employees as well. It's a very low cost, highly additive tool that they can support seasonal workers and some things like that. And by the way, if they leave the company, they can take this on their own at a higher price. But we almost like Cobra, they could sign up on their own. And I guess I'm trying to think, Chrissy, if I missed part of your question. So, to the extent that mostly we work with employees only, spouses and families typically sort of tie into that employee's account. We have there is an opportunity to sort of set up separate accounts for different family members, but they would in effect count as a sort of a separate user to some extent. I don't want to get too much into the weeds on that, but we can partner with you all in terms of what makes most sense for your population.
Great. It looks like that is most of our questions for today. Again, if you want any more information or if you have any other additional questions, you want to talk about pricing, please feel free to reach out to me. Grace on my team will be following up with all attendees today with an email with some additional information and obviously contact information. So highly encourage you guys to think about it. And again, if you want to have a deeper discussion with myself and Dan about how this could benefit your organization, we are happy to arrange that. Dan, thank you so much for today's presentation. Sometimes I think I'm a little bit of a dork, but I think that this is great and this really excites me, and I hope that a lot of our people today are seeing the value that I see in it.
Great, Christy, I really enjoyed it, and thank you all for your participation, and excited to further explore this with many of you.
All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I hope everybody has a wonderful Wednesday and a great rest of your week, and I will see everybody soon.